This episode of Beers and Brawls is proudly brought to you by Shifty Lizard Brewing Co. Amazing little brewery down in Wollonga, serving up awesome ice cold beers on tap. They also have a kitchen that has amazing burgers and chicken wings. If you can't get down to Wollonga, they have another venue in the Adelaide CBD called harddaysnigh, where they have all their beers on tap, plus they've paired up with a few other food trucks there. So, if you're looking for something to do on your next weekend free, get down to Wollonga or Hard Days Night, make a day of it, try all their beers, try their food, you'll love it, I love it, it's one of my favourite places. So, cheers. That's a good drop. Welcome to Beers and Brawls, the show my guests and I drink beer and talk all things wrestling. I'm your host Jared, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Beers and Brawls. Big shout out to our sponsors, Shifty Lizard, for keeping us hydrated throughout this episode. Tonight we have a 20-year vet of the wrestling scene, not just here in Australia, but over in New Zealand. Putting in 10 years over there, winning the PWSA Tag Team Championship, then coming over to Wrestle Rampage here in South Australia, winning the tag team titles there, and also the Cruiserweight Cup a couple times. He's the human bullet, Link Barnett. Link, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
No, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Just coming off a couple of weeks ago Wrestle Rampage event. How's the body feeling?
It gets tougher every time, but I'm holding in there. Little things like the knees, the spine, things take a little bit longer to recover, but it's all part of the game. Just stretch, rehab, recover. Thankfully didn't do anything too crazy this time, but you know, it's looking after yourself and knowing your limits, so
yeah.
We're doing good. I think we can still go for a few years yet.
Nice, that's good, that's what we want to hear. Coming off another successful event, Wrestle Rampage there at the Lions Art Factory.
Lion Arts Factory, yeah. So that's kind of become our new home for 2025. We'll go back there in end of May, I think it's 24th. Top of my head, that sounds right.
Yeah,
but
nice.
We'll be heading back there. But second event in a row there this year, and it's a cool venue. Designed for live music and things. So the lighting stage set up, and once you get the ring down onto that stage floor, it's a really cool setup. Really cool
absolutely. Vibe. I mentioned in the intro, and we'll get into it a bit later when we look at photos. But you came over from New Zealand.
Yes.
What main differences do you find with the New Zealand scene and the Australian scene? Anything in particular, or?
It's similar. Like it's very much they're like cousin country. So
yeah.
Everything that was there in New Zealand is kind of it's the same, but a little bit different over here in Australia. Back at the time when I moved over here in 2013, we had guys like Jonah Rock and Jag and Damien Slater all running at Wrestle Rampage. So
yeah,
kind of seeing all them for the first time, just sort of seeing the level that they were at sort of compared to New Zealand at the time was just like a bit of an eye-opener for me. So they had come over and done a trip to Jag and Damien Slater specifically had done a trip over to New Zealand end of 2012.
Yeah.
And just like the way they were training, the way they were performing just kind of left a big impression. It's like, so this is kind of the next step from where New Zealand should be going, sort of thing. So it kind of left an impression on me, and then just at the time had a choice of life. I guess had a bunch of money saved up from a job I'd been doing, had the choice to be able to continue in New Zealand or make the change to come over to here to Adelaide and just really see what the Australian wrestling was all like. So just jumped in and
awesome.
Been living that way since.
Yeah, awesome, man. And it's good to see that a lot of guys do get the travel over to New Zealand from Australia and go over there, and vice versa. I've seen a few New Zealand guys come over here. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad that they left a good impression on you. I'm glad you chose Adelaide as a place to go to.
Yeah.
Not everyone's probably first choice, but I'm glad you're over here and thriving. So
yeah. I mean, again, it just kind of, I think it shows to the quality, because I'd sort of, at a far distance, had been sort of aware of the way things are running and going in Australia, but I think it just sort of, again, shows the quality of those guys like Jag and Damien Slater and Jonah, and then coming over here and seeing guys like Wrecking Ball and Greg Graham, Joey Graham, those sort of guys who are just like, oh wow, this is like the next step from where we could be going here in New Zealand. And I think going back and kind of visiting New Zealand every few years that I've done since I've been been living here, it's kind of cool to see the changes and see the new faces and kind of as a scene as a whole, they're kind of picking up on the things of like, okay, cool, production needs to come up, training needs to come up, and it's really cool to kind of go back and see just like every time when I go back, just the little steps of progression and things and.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And do you feel like you're
from a distance?
Do you feel like you're a bit of a part of that when you go back there, giving them knowledge and training? Or
I will. Yeah, whenever I go back, I will try and give my time to anyone that will listen. Obviously, there's a lot of familiar old faces. We get to catch up and tell stories and that sort of thing. But there's been a few guys that I've sort of made new friends with, and despite not really being there throughout the start of their careers, but seeing them as they go, and then sort of coming back and seeing how they're doing. 2 years at a time sort of thing. Yeah, really cool.
That's awesome, man. That's so good. Alright, let's get into our questions so we can find out a bit more about you. First one, who are you? Who's Link Barnett? What's he all about?
Very nondescript to start off with. For me, when I started training, I was more just about what can I do to be different in a match sort of thing. Yeah. So without sort of speaking to my character as such, it was just kind of, I found my way into wrestling by what I could physically do. And I mean, when I sort of was first starting, I was like, as you do when you're a young, naive teenager, it's like, I'm going to do all these cool moves and these cool moves and these cool moves. And I didn't realize at the time, like, I'm just a scrawny little teenager. Like, I can't do like power bombs and suplexes to everyone. And then weirdly kind of just naturally formed that I was pretty good at the cruiserweight stuff, so picked up on a lot of the technical and like a lot of the athletic things and kind of focused on those. And that kind of, I guess, reverse engineered the gimmick. It's like, oh, well, if I'm doing all these like, using my athleticism and jumping and speed and off the ropes and all that sort of thing, it's like, well, that's my wrestling style. How do I describe that? And like, I remember there was a X-Men character back in the 90s, Cannonball, had this really cool look where he's like basically just like explosions from the torso down and he just kind of ram into people. I'm like, that's kind of like me. And I just kind of trying to find a way to describe him. Like, well, a human bullet, I guess. So hit people hard. It's, bouncing around all over the place. Keep up if you can. Yeah.
No, awesome. I like that. That's good, man. You touched on it a little bit before, but when did you start wrestling?
God, there's three different starts. If we go back ancient, there's 1997 is when me and my friends back in small town of Napier, New Zealand, got around and started doing backyard wrestling.
Yeah, nice.
And we had a friend who was a couple of years older, that's current wrestler in New Zealand, Sir Mr. Burns. He often went off and started his post-high school life in university and things like that. And he moved up towards the big city, Auckland, and at that time there was kind of just this, I guess, stunt school and / women's self-defense school that was starting to become a wrestling school as such.
Okay. Yeah.
After he'd been there for like a year or two, I'd finished high school, so it's like, all right, well, I'll move up there as well and start training at this place, and that would have been 2003.
Yeah.
Had been kind of long distance, kind of been going to this place and like during school holidays and stuff, and just going there for like a session or two and like learning little tips and tricks like simple falls and bumps and maybe a couple of moves here and there. And then so 2003 would have been the time I really kind of moved into this big city and had this training facility.
Yeah.
Although basically on the exact time that I moved up to start going to university, it was just for wrestling really, but I had to keep my mum happy. This training school kind of broke away from the place they were in.
Yeah.
So there's this group of guys, probably about 15, 20 guys who were kind of local to Auckland, and they'd been sort of pushing for this place to kind of break into and start pro wrestling. And then just as I'd moved up to Auckland, they kind of broke away from this gym, and they kind of, okay, well, we're no longer part of this place, which was called Mania, was the company and the venue. Yeah. So it was kind of like this group of 15, 20 guys are kind of just all starting afresh and pulling all our money together, and that's the birth of what's Impact Pro Wrestling now. Yeah. So started training with them, and at first it was basically just kind of one of us had access to like a community hall sort of thing. So every sort of Saturday morning from like 9 till 12 or something like that, we'd go in there and just put out all these foam pads, and there was a crash mat, and we'd just go over what we could without a ring. And then in the background, like for about a year or so, a year and a half, everyone was just kind of chipping in with whatever money they could to buy a brand new ring, which eventually we got in 2004 and started running our own shows and had the ring set up so we could properly train, and then found a warehouse space to set up the ring, so we had a proper training venue and stuff. So 2003, 2004 is full-time staff for me, I guess. And then in-ring debut was, I want to say October 2004. It could be November 2004. Yeah. It's been a while. And funnily enough, I'd just been back to New Zealand and wrestled at the exact same venue. If it was in November, the exact same month, 20 years on. Yeah. So got to wrestle James Shaw, who I'd seen from day one of his career. So it was a really cool, fun little match. And also did the Pfeil Dojo show at the end of the Oceania Cup finals. So that was fun little trip, and just kind of like a quiet little 20 year anniversary tour for me.
No, that's amazing, and what a start. That's an awesome story. I love that. Favorite wrestler or wrestlers, and why? If you can narrow it down to a few.
Again, I think I'll kind of go via chronological order. So as a young kid, when I was sort of first getting into wrestling, maybe sort of 6 or 7 years old, if you had long hair and you wore like bright fluoro colours, you were my favourite. So Ultimate Warrior was like absolute given. The Rockers were great because they had the cool long hair and all the crazy colourful gear. And Bret Hart, like those are the three that always stood out to me. And then along sort of a little later came like Owen Hart and Razor Ramon, and so the kind of the weird the time when wrestling wasn't cool was the time when I really got into wrestling as a young kid. Then a few years later in New Zealand, WCW started playing on TV around 97, and like the very first match they ever showed, I vividly blazed into my mind, was Ultimo Dragon and Psychosis, and just watching that match was just like, whoa, I've never seen stuff like this before. So immediately fell in love with like the WCW Cruiserweight styles, with the luchadors and guys like Dean Malenko and Jericho and all of that. Just like really got into wow, I haven't seen wrestling like this before. And then it sort of snowballs and rolls into like finding out about things like ECW at the birth of the internet. It's like, you see guys like Hayabusa and this crazy FMW death wrestling and things like that. And, around the time that I was like again starting wrestling, 2003, 2004, a couple of names that really do stand out, I guess as far as influencing my wrestling style and what I did, was Marufuji from Pro Wrestling Noah. His matches with Kenta, like those matches as a whole were like kind of really cool and influential, but I was always kind of like, everyone like either loved Kenta or Marufuji, and I was always a Marufuji guy. Like I thought like just the way he did things was kind of like, that's cool, that's unique. And also like AJ Styles around that time when TNA was really sort of taken off, and just the way he did things, and it's just like, wow, man, this guy's incredible. Like just never get bored of watching this guy. And it just kind of like as TNA and Ring of Honor and the States were kind of becoming the alternate to like just WWE, and then just sort of going down the rabbit hole of finding like really getting to like Pro Wrestling Noah at the time was incredible. Got really into Dragon Gate, so like guys like Shima and Yoshino, you'll see I do things of theirs, and if you know your wrestling, and then kind of went even deeper, and then I was like one of the guys that I guess first found out about DDT, because there was this big ordered from High Spots when I was ordering my wrist tape at the time. They had the 2004 Best of Super Juniors, and it's like, there's a guy from, never heard of this company before, DDT, and it's like, these guys are crazy. And then Kota Ibushi, like, was it like obvious immediate standout from DDT at the time. So those would be like a few names. So guys like Marufuji and Shima and AJ Styles and all the old like classic Ring of Honor guys, and
Yeah.
all the ones that are like, again, the more sort of athletic cruiserweight type guys always took a shine to them.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Good. Favorite match of yours?
That I've been in.
Yeah, been a part of.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. I don't know if I have any sort of particular standouts. Recently, I guess in the last couple of years, there was a chance to work on the New Japan Tamashii show here in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And got to work with Rob Eagles, who, again, from before I'd moved over to Australia, is one of those guys that I'd sort of seen and was aware of. And I was like, oh man, if I ever got to wrestle that guy that one day, that'd be really cool. And then obviously took till 10 years from me being over here and seeing what he's gone on to do and becoming, winning titles in New Japan and stuff is kind of crazy to think about, like 10 years ago. So that was really cool to get like a really good significant one-on-one match with a guy like that. I have been enjoying like a lot of the tag matches I've been doing recently with Havoc, with our tag title run. It's kind of cool just to have a guy with like his experience and just kind of our experience, I guess, together, kind of bouncing off each other and having cool ideas and doing sort of unique and fun different things and kind of finding our own little niche as far as a tag team and standing out differently on the show. I guess there's not really like a specific match, but like we always had a bunch of matches. Back in New Zealand, there's a guy called Liam/Ninja Fury.
Okay.
He started a few years after me, probably around sort of 2008 or 9. Stupidly athletic, like gifted beyond all reason, and just kind of having that kind of athleticism to kind of work off and with against has always been really fun. And he did take a long time off up until very recently, and he's just kind of made a comeback, which is really cool to see. And
nice.
Fingers crossed, maybe we'll cross paths again, either here in Australia or back in New Zealand. So yeah, that's always had a good time having matches with him. A lot of good names, like back in New Zealand, so like guys like James Shaw and Kingy, or Johnny King, as he was used to be called. Always had great matches with those guys, and had fun tagging with my original tag team, Errol Justice. So it was myself and at the time it was Kid Liger, just known as Liger now. We always had really cool ideas. Like he was kind of a bigger guy, so we had like the cool, unique chemistry of like the bruiser guy and the small athletic guy. So always got to do a lot of cool, fun things with him as a tag team. Yeah,
nice. That's awesome, man. I'll make this into a two-parter one. Dream opponent in Australian wrestling and in New Zealand wrestling. Ooh. So 2 parts to it.
2 parts, alright. Having finally been able to tick off the Rob Eagles one, I guess. I think one of the long-standing guys I've sort of been seeing from a distance for a long time now, and now that we're both sort of, I guess, getting on in our years, Matt Diamond out of New South Wales, like just smooth everything he does, and I think it could be a really kind of interesting and fun match. There's like a bunch of people though, like I just sort of see over Australia and stuff. So there's a few guys out in Perth and stuff, like Julian Ward's a great one. Got to wrestle Lucas Fantasia last year, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah,
I think he'll go on to do some cool things. Pity I missed the chance, I guess, but Emin, when he was here from Melbourne, I think that would have been a good fun little match. So hopefully he comes back, and like half the guys and girls over in Sydney are awesome. I every time I've gone been able to go and train with them, or they've come over and trained with us, I'm just like very impressed with their work rate and their kind of ideas and creativity and stuff. And had I not wrestled Velocities a few times already, I would definitely have put them in as like that looked like so much fun. A lot of fun to wrestle, but have managed to do that a couple times here in Adelaide for 2 different promotions.
Nice.
So that's cool. New Zealand, I guess the kind of the main guy from New Zealand at the moment is he's just a star. You look at him, you're like, man, this guy's awesome. Jamie Tagatese.
Okay.
He's been around for a while, and he kind of definitely got pushed to the top in IPW. Just a big presence. He just if he was to travel, I think he would just be a star wherever he goes. Like he's just got that presence. He's got the look, got everything. Really cool into his music. I did get to wrestle Cam Kyber. I think it used to be called Falcon Kid. Had a match I think back in 2019. It was cool. I think we could do better. Unfortunately, kind of got hurt during the match, so he had to kind of cut it a bit short and sort of things like that. So I would love to, and I think he's maybe took a little bit of time off, but I think he's back to wrestling full time now. So there'd be some cool stuff I'd like to do with a guy like that. Spartan Sam Black, I think he's one of the top guys there, and Horace, had a match with him back when he was first starting, but now he's really coming to his own. So again, he's another guy I'd like, 5 years on to see how he's going and have another match. And I mean, anytime I get in the ring with Liger, old tag team partner, we have good fun because we just throw each other around and belt the hell out of each other, and we're just like, we're kind of on the same wavelength where it's like we could just, you guys are wrestling tonight, cool. Wouldn't have to worry about it. We just know it'll be good and physical and fun. Yeah.
No, awesome. Well, if any of those guys and girls are watching, there's the shout out right there. A wrestler in Australian wrestling you challenged for a drinking competition.
Oh, I'm a lightweight. I feel like if I go for the low hanging fruits with like the really small guys like Paris De Silva, I don't even know if he drinks. Like at least I'd win. Like I'd feel safe for myself. Yeah, no, I definitely not Wrecking Ball. Anyone but Wrecking Ball.
No.
I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't like beer.
There you go.
Well, you can challenge us to some nice fizzy beverages.
Most embarrassing moment you've had in the ring?
So, one story comes to mind. I think it was here in Adelaide, a 4-way match with myself, Robbie Hart, AJ Punch Drunk Estia, and the artist formerly sort of maybe now known as Duke Hudson, Elliot Sexton.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, did a 4-way match here in Adelaide at the old St. Clair Rec Centre. Really cool, fun little match, like really intense things going all over the place. At one point, Elliot Sexton hooks me up for his big jackhammer, and I could feel like his hand is, gripping onto my tights, really close to my crotch. And as he hoists me up and I'm standing up there, I'm just thinking, oh, that feels real breezy down there. And I kind of feel everything fall out of place. And I'm up there for just long enough that I'm trying to look back down to see if, am I just fully exposed to the crowd? And then I hear one side of the crowd just start laughing. I'm just like, oh no. Thankfully, bang, hits the move very shortly after. I'm just like, yeah, that whole side of the crowd just got a full view. And I'm just like, ah. Thankfully, we managed to distract him with some good wrestling after that. So
good.
But yeah, my junk was on full display.
Jeez, that's not one you want. That's terrible. Wrestling goals at the moment.
On again a kind of the more advanced stage of my career. I guess I've kind of taken a bit of a shining to like really kind of helping and progressing local wrestlers, and then again also when I get back to New Zealand, like just helping bring the younger generation up to speed, because from guys like me who were there like back in New Zealand when basically there was no wrestling and we were very self-reliant, self-taught.
Yeah, we
had to go through a good 10, 12, 15 years of mistakes, running against the wall until something worked. And I think that we kind of figured it all out. It's like, oh well, not all out, but figured a lot of stuff out. It's like, cool, you guys just do this. We've done it the wrong way, so we've kinked out all the mistakes. Like, you guys have basically in a very short time get to catch up to where it took us a long time to get to, and just using like experience and our know-how and just being able to identify sort of people at stages of their career as they start off young. It's like, oh, I remember when I was at that stage, and it's like, and I thought this was the right way to do things. I'm like, yeah, no, it seems like the right thing, but trust me on this one. Yeah, I've made that mistake before. Yeah. Let's steer into the right path, because if you keep going this way, it may not work well for you for a while, and and just I think being on shows, it's kind of a cool little challenge now to kind of, again, you see the younger guys who maybe don't quite have the bigger picture of wrestling and stuff just yet, and it's like, okay, well, they're doing these things that are really cool on the show, and I I've been around long enough to kind of identify, like, I can see what they're adding to the show. What can I do differently? You got that, again, that bigger perspective of, like, this young kid here, he's doing all the cool athletic stuff that maybe I can't do anymore. So it's like, okay, cool. Well, they're doing all that stuff. I'm gonna change my tact and maybe take care of this part of the show and add maybe like a bit of humor or like a bit more sort of a different sort of match psychology and stuff. So it's I guess adapting and changing and stuff. Like, you never want to be stuck just sort of doing the same thing over and over again, because the crowd will get bored and you'll get bored, and I think you'll just kind of burn yourself out that way. So again, I think it's just kind of I'm almost on like a show to show, match to match basis, kind of seeing where what I can do to add to the show and what I can do differently from everyone else on the card and that sort of thing, and then help the younger people sort of develop, like, okay, well, if that's what you want to get across, maybe try doing it this way, and giving them advice, and then having to sort of adjust my own parts and what I can add to a show and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely, that's awesome, man. What's a match type that you would never want to compete in?
I guess I've never really done a lot of like hardcore deathmatch stuff, and it's not to say that I wouldn't, but I guess probably like if you're leaning into the more like the light tubes and the barbed wire and that sort of thing, it's like, I don't think that's really worth my time anymore. Like maybe 10 years ago I would have been like, yeah, let's give that a go. Yeah. Nowadays I'm just like, I don't think that's for me anymore. Like there was maybe a chance to do that, like, younger, but yeah. If anything, it's now that I can just sort of see that, again, I managed to avoid a lot of doing a lot of like hardcore and crazy stuff like that, and kind of hearing people say like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, you've taken care of it for me. I didn't have to do that. So now I can kind of, I think at this stage, like, kind of pick and choose. It's like, okay, well, if I'm involved in these stipulations and matches, it's like, okay, how can I get around this by working with a stipulation, but maybe taking care of myself a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having that expanded knowledge.
Yeah. And what's a match type that you would love to compete in that you haven't yet?
See, this is where there are like so many stupid ideas that I think would be really entertaining. Like for a while there, back when I was kind of doing my last single run before teaming with Havoc, I was going on a run of basically not winning matches, and by that I don't mean I was losing matches, and I was involved in a lot of like triple threats and four ways and eliminations, that sort of thing. So a lot of the times I was just not winning the matches.
Yeah.
So the idea that I pitched before it kind of just naturally became the tag team with Havoc, which was great, was that I would eventually just work to challenging myself to a match. Because by technicality, if I pin myself or if I lose to myself, then I've won. Yeah. And it was going to be like I do a retirement angle, so it's like it's this if I can't beat myself, I'll retire, which makes no sense. But then it's like you'd have the match, I'd win, but I'd also lose, and then it's like, well, the part of me that lost is the one that can't win, so now I'm unbeaten. So yeah, crazy things and like again, like going back to like my love of DDT and stuff, like crazy, like just ridiculous stipulation matches. There's so many things I'd love to do. Like they have like the the extra quiet matches where it's like if you make noises and you get like points taken off you and that sort of thing. The other one I'd really love to do is a no DQ match. So basically the rules are like super enforced.
Okay.
Yeah. So like whoever's reffing the match, you'd have to say like if we're doing anything that even slightly bends the rules, like you have like rules to disqualify us. So, if there's a, holds on, someone grabs the rope, like, you have to break that, like, on the spot. Things like that. If you even think about, like, touching the throat, like, that's... Yeah. I'd love to do, like, a lot more just, like, absurd comedy, just wacky, bizarre things, which I think would work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully, you get those chances to do these crazy things, and with the right people, just again, adding something very different to whatever wrestling show you're on.
Yeah, that's an awesome answer. In your opinion, what is local wrestling missing today?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's any one specific thing.
Or could be improved on, or brought back, or sort of anything that sort of stands out.
Yeah. God, that's a tough one, actually. I think it's not really what's missing, but it's just that there's more of it that would be better. People who sort of really throw themselves into crazy characters and things like that.
Yeah.
I think you get a lot of people who are kind of don't really, almost like they're trying to be this version of themselves that sometimes takes them a long time to grow into and things like that.
Yeah.
And I almost miss the days where people were kind of, especially when I was younger, like a lot of the sort of the older guys at the time would give you something, like this is what you're doing. Like for example, two of my guys back in New Zealand, Mr. Burns and Liam Fury, back when they were younger, they just gave they gave Liam Fury the ninja gimmick, because obviously you could do all the cool physical stuff. It's like, we just dress up like a ninja and stuff. And so Mr. Burns at the time, like, he bald head and had a big beard, so it's like, well, you're just going to be a pirate.
Yeah.
And so the tag team was just, you're pirates and ninjas. And that was it. Like, and they'd go out in front of crowds, and cricket people just love it, because it's like, dude, it's a pirate and it's a ninja. Like, look at him go. Like, this is cool. Like, I think a lot of people, try and figure out their own gimmick too early, and so therefore they never quite get there straight away. And I think a lot of sort of people when they're starting out, it's kind of takes a long time for a lot of people to warm up. If you just get thrown with a crazy gimmick straight away, and you kind of forced to just throw yourself into it and stuff. So it's not really like it's a missing, or it's a bad thing, or it's a good thing. It's just it's a bit less, I feel, nowadays. Like, where a lot of people were, especially when you're young, you just get given something and it's just like, just run with it.
Yeah.
See if it works. Like, I think the Hot Rods started that way. They were just kind of like, you guys are just rock a party, and so they didn't really know what they were doing, but like they kind of just went for it and it worked. And I think it for a lot of young people, like younger people starting off and stuff, it's not a bad thing if you get given something that you aren't comfortable with. Go out and do it, and then you might find that by the course of going out and doing this thing, you'll actually find like, but I can do this part really well, or like this part of the performance and stuff is like, I actually really like doing this, and then you can kind of figure it out as you go. I guess in my regards, like, I was kind of given a bit of a back step, and I kind of wish I was almost given something a bit more definitive at the start of my career, just to kind of, here's what you are, like, go and run with it. I guess the closest thing I had was teaming with Liger early on, like when he was starting. He was Kid Like, and he had he's like a big Green Lantern fan, so he had like a kind of Green Lantern style mask. We were kind of like a superhero tag team, pseudo superhero, and it's like, that's cool. It was something to lean into, and never really sort of went full bore with it, but I think it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I was given this sort of persona to live up to, and it's like, okay, well, I got something to kind of focus energy into, and kind of ideas that kind of are focused on something. So giving the young people kind of very like distinct and specific gimmicks, like especially if the people running the show, like, they want a certain thing on the show, and it's like, it's not a bad thing to just be dumped with this thing. It's like, no, like, make it and run with it.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I like that, man. It was really good. Last question. So Wrestle Rampage has been your home base for 10 or so years now. Excluding yourself, who are your top 3 wrestlers in Rampage at the moment? Can be your favourite, can be the best wrestler, whatever your top 3.
Yeah. They're all so good. I hate to play favourites.
It's a hard question, but there is so many good ones.
Yeah, I guess we will start at the top, and the obvious one is Tommy Knight.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just very much coming into his own. Like he's sort of been given some very big boots to fill, being the kind of the lineage of Jag, of Jonah Rock. Now he is the big man in Wrestle Rampage.
Yeah.
And I think it took him a while to get there, but he's really found himself in the last couple of years, and now he's starting to get these really good opportunities that I think he's ready for now.
Yeah.
So in like the last year or so, he's done his tour of Japan with Gleet. And I think he impressed a lot of people over there the short time he was there. And obviously doing a lot more stuff around Australia in a lot of big positions. Like he got to run into and very much impress Shelton Benjamin, which led to him getting his shot at with AEW and Ring of Honor recently when they were here, and looked the part perfectly from start to finish there, and everyone was very impressed with how he looked and stuff. And this is like it's been a work in progress, but I think he's at that point now where he's lived into and filled into those shoes, and hopefully big things will just keep going and going for him. So
yeah, absolutely,
I'm very happy for him. I mean, you've probably had this from everyone else that's from Wrestle Rampage that's been here, but my God, Greg Graham is good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he kind of going back into that previous question, like he will come up with a lot of the ideas himself, but again, like he started with being given the hot rods thing, and he just threw himself into it and made it work.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing things like the gorgeous Greg Graham and the gothic Greg Graham and things like that. And he's just a stupidly creative man, and when he's in a match situation, his timing and natural performance is just it's stuff that you almost can't teach it. Like it's stuff that it's just him, and he does it so well. And anyone who sort of experiences and sees that, or either in the ring with him or just kind of backstage at a Wrestle Rampage show and just hearing the crowd react to just every little thing he does it's incredible. It's just it's people will wrestle their entire lives and never get reactions that good, and he just goes out there and does something off the top of his head, just silly, ridiculous, and it's the best thing you've ever seen in wrestling.
Yeah, no, it's so good.
And I've got to try and think of one for the future, because those are two guys that are very much established and been around for a while now. Coming through the ranks, who am I liking? Who am I digging? You know what? It's very early in his career, and I hope he sticks with it, and I hope things go really well. But Rizvi, the Bengali Bull, he's just super endearing human being. He's just been so pleased and happy to be a part of Wrestle Rampage shows, and just even the very short little bits he's been able to be part of the shows this year. One unfortunately ending in a very quick knockout from the hands of Wrecking Ball. But even just his enthusiasm to be in that role and to bounce back, and his training ethic and stuff, he just wants to get better, and I think he will just get better as long as he can keep that enthusiasm and stuff. And I think he's kind of like a really cool little, I hope everyone around him who's training with him is just kind of is picking up that he has that enthusiasm. It's like it's we can teach you all the little technical nuances and performance and things like that, but that the enthusiasm that he brings naturally, and his kind of his natural sort of charisma and just kind of endearing qualities are just it's things that again that's him. And if you can't bring that to bring that out of yourself, then it's almost like you've got to try and help us help you with the training and bringing yourself forward and that sort of thing. But I love all the Wrestle Rampage rookies in their own
absolutely.
little ways and stuff. But just I guess for recency bias and this year and just sort of seeing what he's done and stuff, I'm just like he's got a little special place in my heart.
That's an awesome answer. That's great. I love him too. He's gone. Thank you very much, Link, for going through those questions. Awesome answers. I really appreciate you going into those stories. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to load up some photos of your career and we're going to go through them.
Let's do it. See how many I actually remember.
Alright, Link, the photos are ready. You ready?
Let's do it.
I've done the best I can.
Who knows what we're going to see?
I've done the best I can to go back as far as I can. The timeline may be a little bit out, but we'll see how we go. We'll start with number 1.
Yes. Now this was, right after I'd moved here. And I think this was my first Snake Pit match, PWSA match. Funnily enough, this is not actually the match that happened, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah, Robbie Hart on the night was switched out with Wrecking Ball. So this is technically false advertising, but no, this was down Nowalunga, which is I think the only time I've wrestled down that far.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And I think probably the best story is I think there was an incredibly young, like 13, maybe younger. I can't remember. I wouldn't bet match up, but Matt Hayter was there backstage, and I think we had there was this really cool like upstairs creche, I guess, at the venue that we had like it's really cool like look down, and we were just all kind of chilling up there and stretching and getting ready and stuff, and I think he came up. I can't remember if he was bleeding or not, or like it'd been so excited and happy to take like this crazy bump or something. He took like a big powerbomb or choke slam or something, and he was just like so excited to come back up afterwards and like talk to us like, oh, did you see it? And we're like, no. Like, love your enthusiasm, kid, but like, are you sure you should be wrestling? Like, this is, you're a child. It was very confusing. But it was a fun little match, that one. And you kind of look at the people in there, like, even switching Robbie out for Wrecking Ball, like, TK Cooper went on and did great stuff over in the UK.
Yep.
Jonah, obviously, gone on to do great things. Pat's still wrestling in New Zealand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's done a few of the Tamashi shows over there and works for Aotearoa Pro Wrestling, which is run by Hinare from New Japan and stuff. So
nice.
he's very underrated, I think, Australian New Zealand wrestler. Like, he's big dude, very explosive and athletic, and has a really good like actual amateur wrestling background.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to wrestle him a couple of times before I moved over, and I could sort of see like he keeps up with it. He's going to be very good, and every time I go back, it's like he's still good.
Yeah.
He's underappreciated talent, I think, in Australia and New Zealand, and obviously Slater is Slater.
Yeah.
Can't
That's all you can say. That's all you can say. Now I think we're going back a little bit here.
Yeah. Now this is around that time of teaming with Liger, about maybe sort of 2 or 3 years in to my career. I'm guessing around about 2008 or so. This is a old promo shot for IPW New Zealand. Had my gear there, so the green shorts. The shorts were very much a CM Punk, like old Ring of Honor CM Punk thing. It was like, like I like that look, but I was too weedy, obviously, to really go shirtless at the time, so I kind of just mashed some stuff together. But yeah, those shorts were very comfortable to wrestle in. I almost missed them.
They do look comfy. They look nice.
And there I am in action against great New Zealand wrestler, mystery legend Halo, who was a second mask gimmick of another like hugely almost underappreciated in the long run. Like he's retired now, but was Alfred Vorderman. Also wrestled as Heartless Alfred Vorderman. He was incredibly talented. Had just a really cool brain and mind for the business. He was one of those guys that could come up with these crazy stories for matches and gimmicks and things like that, and he always had really cool ideas, and just very anyone who's sort of been around wrestling in New Zealand long enough, like who had was wrestling around the same time as him and got to wrestle with him, would just like say the same things. Like he's just was a really cool like creative mind for the business in New Zealand scene for the first 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you see very closely in the background there, those the ropes. Those are actually just rope. we got our first ring in 2004, and I'm guessing this is around 2006, 7ish.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, we just wrestled on just bare rope.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because we didn't really think about it. We just like, yep, we've got the ropes, we've got them set up, and running those ropes. I've still got like weird scar tissue under here just because we're running on just raw rope, and it's just like after a couple of years, like we decided to tape up. It's like, why the hell didn't we do this? Again,
oh wow.
Making mistakes that the younger generation don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. It's so grassroots.
This is a second tag team. This is around the period just before I moved over to Australia. So this would have been, I'm guessing, 2011, 12-ish. That is Kazuki on the right. Genuinely half Japanese. Really cool dude. Started again. He was a kind of that second wave of New Zealand wrestlers. So there's a bunch of us that were there at the start, sort of 2000 to 2004.
Yeah.
All kind of started together, and then there was kind of like a new generation that came through. So guys like Liam Fury and James Shaw, Kazuki was one of them. And he was again a guy that had like an amateur background, and was just really solid athlete. I think he moved not long after I moved over to Australia. He sort of faded away from wrestling, but he works with New Zealand Air Force now, I believe. So he's like a fitness trainer and stuff like that.
Nice.
So
yeah,
kept fit and stuff. Funny thing is like around this time we had a TV deal with Manamamo, which is like a Māori language show that was aired here in Australia for years on NITV.
Oh wow.
So during that time we did these like giant afternoons of pre-taped like 15, 20, 25 matches, something like that. So it was always kind of like was spread out, to be shown over on TV over weeks and things.
Yeah.
And with obviously a bias and focus towards the Māori Pacific Island wrestlers, which is what the show was kind of aimed towards, which is cool. It's funny though because they said like they saw Kazuki here in the mask and it's like, well, we know you're not Japanese. And it's like, no, he's genuinely half Japanese. Like his parents, one of his parents are Japanese. Like he speaks fluent Japanese, and they're like trying to give him these different gimmicks and things to do. It's kind of funny. Yeah, we had this. This was kind of like I guess this was sort of the first sort of leading into the weird kind of like anime influence. So like I came with like this tag team. Sorry, our tag team name was on a kind of step forward from the Emerald Justice, which I had with Liger, obviously just wearing the green. This was Neo Justice Double, and I was like, what's the most like anime sounding tag team name I could come up with? And I was like leaning into like kind of the Japanese culture, obviously with the headband and stuff, which it looks ridiculous now, but that was a fun little tag team. We came up with some cool little things, and yeah, that was actually my first title run was with Kazuki.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And there I am flying. There we are. This is again during that tag title run around 2011, 2012, I guess. This venue I would like to say is East Auckland. I think we ran there a few times before I moved over, and that was I think as well kind of stepping up into production, I guess, for New Zealand wrestling. Like look at that lighting and truss and stuff. Before that, I think we were just coming out of like a weird just black curtains and things like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was a fun tag team run. Like I really liked tagging with Kazuki. We did cool stuff. This was I guess during my when Dragon Gate was a big influence on me. So I was watching a lot of their like crazy tag spots and things, and I was kind of relaying that to Kazuki. It's like, we can do this and this and this, and like Motor City Machine Guns were a big thing back then. So you had the doing all the cool tag team stuff, and I guess it's weirdly enough, I think I've been a tag team wrestler most in my career. Seems to kind of every time I try and get away from it, I just naturally kind of fall back into it and stuff. No. It's either tag teams or just 4-ways and 6-ways and triple threats. And I've actually had a shockingly few one-on-one matches for my career.
Oh wow, there you go.
There we go. That's that's me. Right again just after I'd moved to Adelaide. This would have been 2013. I just Got my new haircut. Look at that.
Nice.
And that's that was gear I got right before I moved over to Australia. If you can see it, this was gear that's halfway inspired between Misawa, obviously with the colours, and Hiroshi Tanahashi with the design. It's old gear design he used to wear back around sort of 2010, 19ish sort of thing.
Okay.
So that was where the inspiration for that gear came from. And look at me, I've actually been going to the gym for a while, so I'm brave enough to take the shirt off.
Nice.
And it's basically it's kind of young, exuberant baby face, because I'm a new one to the scene here in Adelaide, and it's just let's just get all young and exciting, and like I guess at this point again we're still leaning into the weird anime influence and things like that. So taking that to the characteristics and the mannerisms and things. So.
Yeah, so I do like the tights. They're good tights.
Yeah, I still got them. They just don't fit anymore. Probably gathering mold somewhere. The old Pfeil's line before it was Line Arts Factory.
Meltdown Promotions.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the name we were using to, I guess, differentiate it from us from just being pro wrestling. So again, I don't know. couldn't tell you on that part, but I remember that being I think there was a battle royal that night that I was part of. And I think the best story I have from that is, I think Combat Wombat from Queensland was down for the week.
Oh, okay.
And he'd been doing training with us and stuff. Interesting young man. At one point during that match, I think I was running the ropes, and I saw him dead ahead of me, like lining up a clothesline. And I'm coming off at 100 miles an hour as I tend to do. And I'm like, all right, well, if he's swinging, I'm ducking. Take this big long couple of steps. He's missed me now. Come up to hit the other ropes. Bang! Got blasted right in the face, and I'm like, how? Like I ducked nice and low. I took 2 strides forward, and as I kind of rocked back and was like lying on the ground, it's like eyes watering. I realized he didn't move. He actually outsmarted me by not doing anything. So he's lined up across the ring, and I'm running at him. I thought he was running at me. Yeah, so I'm like, cool, well, I'm just going to duck under here. And he stood straight still, exactly where he was, and just poof. So by the time I'd ended my duck, got me even better than if I had just not ducked at all.
Oh, shit.
Outsmarted me good. Yes.
Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, I bought this for like a nightclub theme, funny thing like that. Did like a Pokemon theme thing, and I was like, oh, well, let's just wear it for my wrestling gear as well and see how that looks, and actually look kind of cool.
Yeah, I love that. I don't mind it. It's pretty cool.
I think we did around that time we did a couple of like spot shows and stuff like around Adelaide and stuff. I think we did a university orienteering show and thing, and around that time is when I was tagging with Mike Boomer.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember one time, and maybe it'll appear in the photos later, and I'm spoiling things, but we did. It
might be.
Yeah. We did a tag team, and I dressed up in this gear, and I think he had a Charmander suit on and stuff, and had a best of 3 series with Jag and Wrecking Ball, I think it was. That was a long rough day.
Oh, I bet.
For us.
I bet. Far out.
There we go. Teaming with Mike Boomer.
Boomer.
Doing the obvious Dragon Ball Z inspired fusion dance there.
That's cool.
Yeah. That was kind of one of those. Again, every time I kind of think I'm drifting off and doing my own thing, I get pulled into a tag team. But tagging with Boom was really cool and fun. Eventually rolled into doing a lot of like really cool one-on-one matches and things.
Yeah.
Had a lot of cool chemistry with him. That venue there, that roof is probably as low as it looks. So as you're standing on the top rope, I'd be reaching up and brushing the roof there. So made doing a lot of the high flying stuff tricky, but not impossible. But yeah, all of a sudden you have to like really think about like, I can't actually jump here.
Go straight through the roof.
But yeah, love wrestling with. There we go. And there is the day in mention. So
there it is. Yeah.
Boomer has taken off the Charmander onesie, which makes sense. And that's Wrecking Ball and I out in the blazing hot sun. Thankfully, we were under a big tree in the shade.
Yeah, a bit of shade there. Yeah.
That was a long day. I think we did 3 tag matches. Boomer and I against
Oh wow.
Wrecking Ball, Big Will, Big Willie as he was there.
Yes.
And Jag, and yeah, what again, like those weird fun days where it's just like you remember, like, you know, the big shows and that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
the crazy weird stories of like, yeah, we just sit up in the middle of a lawn and hardly anyone watched it, but we were out there and beat the hell out of each other for 3 matches in a row that day, and just there's only about maybe sort of, I think it must be like 7 or 8 of us, including the guys in the ring that were there for setup and things like that.
Yeah,
So it's just 8 of us out there at 7 o'clock in the morning, sitting up this ring in a grass field just to beat each other for people who don't really know or appreciate what's going on.
You always get those good stories though, like the beer and barbecues, the
Yeah.
metal festivals, and you know, the punk rock riots, all those random things that you just you chuck a ring in and who knows what could happen, and people just rock up.
There we go. That's there a bit further on. So
Still
yeah, I think it's like a series of photos. There was like those are some keepers. So and with a you know, relatively slim looking Jag nowadays. That was probably about the lowest he ever got. Now he's well back up over 130, I think.
Yeah. Heavyweight for sure.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty decent crowd. It's more than I remember. I think we did a couple there a few years though. I think there's a couple of years where like we really didn't get a good crowd, but that doesn't look so bad.
It looks alright.
I was gonna say to sort of bounce off that, I think one of the best you know, weird places we ever wrestled was back in New Zealand. There's like the agricultural shows and things like that.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, somehow we got pulled into doing one in Te Araha, which is like a tiny little rural town, maybe sort of an hour or two out of Auckland. So we up at 6 a.m, drive the ring down, set it up there at 8, 9 in the morning, whatever it was, and it's in the middle of just a big giant grass field. It's kind of like a rugby club room sort of off to the side, but in the background there are like literal, not quite like, you know, snow-peaked mountains, but very much scenic mountains. They're very large hills, like straight up like Lord of the Rings background, sort of just there right on the back of the rings. Like, this is a really scenic place to wrestle. And it started raining really badly, like just during matches and stuff, so we're slipping around all over the place.
Yeah.
There's an elephant just, you know, 10 meters away from the ring, just pooing all over the place, and all the kids have got like as part of kind of like the show day, they've got these like little like pellet BB gun sort of thing. So every time we bump, they're just blasting us like point blank in the back with these things. Like, fun day. We did a you know, end of the day battle royal with everyone involved, maybe like 14, 15 of us.
Yeah.
We were getting changed in the rugby club room, so we just brought out this giant like tackle bag, and that was just one of the entrances of the battle royal. So it was just getting thrown around to people like full on. Like, someone got blasted in the face, I think, and probably got concussed, and everyone's, you know, trying to give it suplexes and trying to throw it out over the ropes and things.
Oh.
That was a fun day.
That's so
like
good.
You know, absurd at the time, but like once you're back home and it's been done, it's like, that was fun.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Back at PWSA/Snake Pit, yeah, getting a good height in those drop kicks. I was toying whether to start doing the drop kicks again, but then I know like a couple of people are doing them, so
Okay.
I've been doing the top rope, the big clothesline instead. So like, as you might have seen me doing on Big Willie a few slides back, even though I actually think that was a crossbody. But there's a guy back in New Zealand, Little T. He was the tag team partner of TK Cooper from a few slides before. They were one of our main rivals when it was Kazuki and I with the tag titles. So we kind of had a few really cool matches and stuff. But yeah, Little T was one of those guys again who was kind of stupidly naturally gifted. Had the nicest top rope clothesline ever. So once he sort of retired and stuff, I'm like, I'm stealing that. So that's what the big springboard clothesline that I do now is it's in honor of him, because it's like got to take that thing many times. It's just like, it's sort of the nicest thing to take. So, but back then I was doing a lot of top rope drop kicks, which, you know, maybe I'll do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pull it out.
Man, you never know.
Yeah, it's inspired me.
Stop Havoc from doing them.
Yeah. Hey, here's Mike Boomer and I again, dressing up as Final Fight characters for those who maybe know.
Okay.
That's in the back corner there of Lion Arts Factory.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell. So that's the far wall. If you've been to Lion Arts Factory, there's the big stage over to where my right is on. To the right of me there. I think this was I feel like it was a Halloween themed show. Couldn't tell you who we were facing. I think it might have been Joey Graham and someone, but yeah, I could be very wrong.
Yeah, that's
there with referee Nick.
Yeah, young Nick Savage. Look at that. Jeez.
Looking all three of us about the same height. But yeah, if you're into your Capcom beat 'em ups, that's Final Fight there. Boom, I don't think I had much idea. I just said like, hey, if you just wear this, and he goes, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Look, it worked well. Like, it just looks like he's there for a street fight.
Yeah, that's true. It sounds like Boomer.
There we go, mate.
MCW.
Yeah. That is TK Cooper about to eat that with I think it's Dowie. 2015. That sounds right. Triple threat match. I think we were just told to go out there and do cool things. So I was like, easy. we went out there and did cool things. Unfortunately, really haven't been to Melbourne in a long time now. So
yeah,
but had fun the times I was there. That was a cool, fun little match again. Wasn't given much direction, so I was just like, yeah, let's do all the cool TNA triple threat spots.
Yeah, absolutely. No, why not? That's nice.
At AWF / I think it was actually that was right in AWF doing the Supernova then.
Okay.
And I just got invited along. Had the Goku suit on, so the Turtle House gi. Wrestled in that for the weekend, made sense. Doing a bit of posing, and went 3-2 apparently that weekend. Is what my fingers have. So more wins than losses.
Oh, that's good. That's what you want. Winning records always good.
Yeah. That's the stadium show, the Titanium Security Stadium where the 36ers play.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a little hard to see obviously because that up there is kind of the bleachers and things.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing the cat gimmick. Did that for a little while. Had the headphones before they were cool. Had them on pre-order and they arrived the day before the show. So I was like, let's just use those on the show and
nice.
Had little paws. I think I've got a tail on as well. That was a fun 4-way. It was Nick Armstrong, Rob Eagles, Rufio, and I.
Oh, nice.
Opened up that show, and that was a genuine 1,000 people draw, which was. All on the locals, no international bring-ins, no outside money. Everything was all Wrestle Rampage, just off of Jag's bag. That was a big show. We put in the big push, all that effort. So got to go there and do the opening match, and got to go out there and fly around. And I remember we were all really geared up for that one. So I definitely haven't been in that shape again since. That was everyone went all out in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Robbie Hart caught that. I feel like this was, I think this might have been the week before the big stadium show.
Yeah.
They were definitely around the same time, but yeah, that's me in the Goku suit again. Robbie Hart's about to cop it. I remember that was, I have fond memories of, if you can sort of see down the bottom corner there with the little AWF logo, the next wrestlers who are due up to go and that schedule and stuff. That was, I think it was one of those, that day, I think it was one that was my first match with Dean Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Back, I think, when he was probably very new, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Very young. But yeah, I remember hanging out in that little area there, the little booth over there. That was, Robbie Hart, and that was when Demi Rhea Ripley was still here. So I remember that day just hanging out with her and a few of the other sort of younger guys and just kind of doing my own commentary on the matches as they were going along and popping everyone and stuff.
Nice.
That was my memory. Then a few other matches, like I remember this one just kind of being kind of cool. The Dean Brady match, that was the first one I did with him, and that was like I think I did like a triple threat as well that weekend with Jonah as well. I think that was one of the first times I got in the ring with him, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's good.
Hey, my
T-shirt.
My first merch, yeah.
There we go.
I think I finally sold out of those, a couple of years after making them, but got that design and stuff. It's if you know your arcade fighting games, it's the art style of Pocket Fighter, so it's the Street Fighter version, which is all kind of everyone's all little cute characters and things like that. Got the post from there and got the idea from there and themed it all for myself. And if you know the font, that's the Super Mario font.
Oh.
When you sort of see it, you go, oh, it is too.
Yeah. I like how you've got all these little nuances in there and little Easter eggs all through it, and if people know, they know, and then you can really see all this cool stuff.
Yeah, sourced out like a local artist for that one and stuff, so it was really cool. Like happy with how that turned out and stuff. And then there was I think they've still got the prints are still available because I printed out like 5,000 of them and stuff.
Oh wow!
It's kind of like a high quality artwork which I think is still available on shows.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Evangelion gear. This is not even at wrestling. I think this is just me hanging out at AvCon, the local anime video convention.
Yeah.
So I think 2014-15 or so, New Japan did like a April Fool's joke where Ryusuke Taguchi dressed up as Evangelion. So it's like a famous 90s anime about giant robots fighting interdimensional beings and a lot of psychological trauma with kids piloting robots and things. It's a great series. It sounds terrible to describe, but it's like essential like anime viewing.
Yeah.
But anyway, like the main sort of big robot from the series is the design for this gear, and Taguchi had done like a dressed up sort of with the mask and stuff to promote I think one of the lucha shows and things. I always thought like that's actually a pretty cool idea for gear, and had someone who did who made the gear for the local roller derby teams and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just sort of approached them to said, "Oh, did you make wrestling gear?" And I said, "Yeah, let's give it a go." And like, funnily enough, like I sort of mentioned, "Oh, I got this like giant robot idea," and then like as I was describing, she goes, "Oh, do you mean Evangelion?" I'm like, "Oh yeah," and she knew what it was. So she was like, "Hell yeah, I'll make that." I'm like, "Oh, awesome." And yeah, really happy with how that turned out.
That's amazing.
Hey, beating Boomer for the Cruiserweight Cup.
There you go.
And using the old the Tekken reference there.
I like that. That's good. Trophy earned.
That was
Are you wearing the purple gear from before?
Yeah, so just without the mask basically.
Yeah.
Like I can wrestle in that mask, but basically the yellow eye holes, as soon as light goes directly into that, all I see is yellow, like with maybe a vague outline. So it's not great to wrestle in. Like it's cool to wear, but to wrestle is like if there's like the lighting comes into the eyes, it's just you just see yellow with vague outlines, so you're mostly flying blind. So it's not the smartest. If it's like a dimly lit venue, like it's doable. Like I've done it once or twice, but I don't recommend it. But yeah, that's the gear. It's kind of in action, so it is fully functional wrestling gear, which is cool and stuff. And that's just after I'd turned heel for the first time, and won the cup from Boomer. We win. We'd go on to I think we did like a face match sort of a little bit before then, which I think we kind of went a little nuts on. And then once we sort of had like a heel and face dynamic, our matches kind of got better because we had a bit more to work with, sort of thing. So I remember we had about I think maybe 3 or 4 one-on-one matches. And I think they just progressively got better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think I've ever seen footage of the last one we did, which was at Pfeil's live Lion Arts Factory, because it was like I remember coming back from the match going, that was like a really cool match. To answer that question before, I actually forgot about the match. But I feel like the footage was lost. It's one of those ones where it's like, well, if you were there, you saw it. And that was I think it was really cool. Like just working stuff with Boomer, and I think we as we went on, we just sort of got better and better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rat Daddy, and he doesn't have a head. I feel like this wasn't his debut match, but it's one of the ones we ended up having a fair few matches as well. At his very first match, and he'd obviously brought along his entire football team from to his first match. So I was instantly booed, despite this guy having never wrestled before. So it worked well. Like I had just turned heel and stuff. But we had a few matches. His very first match, which again did some incredibly well for someone in his first match, and went on to just again have this weird natural charisma of like he just gets a lot of the things that are hard to teach. Just that great stage presence and things like that. All the wrestling stuff, and again when it came to the big matches, he just seemed to pull it all together and deliver. It'd be nice to see him back in the ring one day, but he'll do him, and it just looks like he has no head.
Yeah,
It's a really well timed photo.
It's a good photo. His head's gone. There's the Cruiserweight Cup.
Yeah, relaxed enough. I think I'd beaten a debuting Nick Golfus, or like very near to debuting Nick Golfus that night. That's at the Waterside Workers Hall at Port Adelaide. It was probably stinking hot because that venue has no air circulation. It's
really?
like a 150-year-old venue or whatever. It's just this old giant wooden and concrete building that just has no air circulation. So if you wrestle there in any time in summer, it's just the worst.
Yeah.
So I'm probably sweating up a storm, probably very dehydrated, but successful defense there.
That's good.
That's Lion Arts Factory again. That's a rematch with Dowie from Melbourne. And that was a fun match. Look at my bridge there. Perfect technique.
I like it. Very good. Good. With good flexibility. Look at that, Tommy Knight.
Young Tommy Knight. Still wearing the t-shirt. And Robbie has found his life in face paint. He's loving it. That was again at Pfeil's Live Line Arts.
Yeah.
We were talking about this Tommy and I the other week. It's one of his favourite moments because he said he's never seen it before. And to be fair, like I don't think I've seen it before, which is kind of why I did it. So in this match, Rob's kind of, this is when he's fresh into doing the Darkest Soul, the face paint, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Tom's maybe a year into his career, maybe just under. So we're kind of taking care of him and going through. I'm like, well, I end up taking the mist from Rob sort of halfway through the match.
Yeah.
So I'm literally stumbling around blind while they're kind of doing their thing. Like I remember kind of falling off the apron and stumbling around blind. Literally trip over them like as they're doing, like, Tom's had a big move, 1, 2, and I've literally just stumbled over them backwards to break up the pin. I had no idea what's going on. A little bit later, Rob's lining Tom up for a second bout of the mist, and just at the last second, he ducks. So I take, just as I've recovered from the first bout, I get a second lot. And because this was the R18 venue stuff, I'm just like, you're allowed to swear and stuff, just, don't go overboard.
Yeah.
Just take this second blast of, like, the poison mist to the face. I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. And Tom said he was, because he, then sort of clears me out of the ring, and I think he goes on to beat Rob there, but he was just pissing himself at, how I just taken the second line, and instead of just, the usual, it's just like, oh, for fuck.
Love it.
Another good bridge again. Yeah. Sean Kingston from Perth, yeah. Another great guy, wrestled. And that was a really fun match. Out of St. Clair during the, in the big hall. I think it was a big ladder match main event.
Yeah.
And it was looks like it's going to be a rough landing for him. But again, getting that bridge, like if you tilt your head and just go head and toes, I'm like, that's perfect. It's good. Perfect form.
I love it. Look at that. It's great.
Look at these. What a fine collection of
youngsters.
Strapping young lads.
Jeez. Look at that.
I know, Valente, very young, almost looking confused there, golfers. Kazrin Crow, still kicking around, but different name.
Yeah.
And Corey Adams, he was someone who just, but unfortunately not actively wrestling now, but he kept getting drafted into these just sort of matches kind of like this, but he'd just turn up on the day and do his thing, and he's surprisingly good at every time.
Yeah.
I think this was another one of those ones that were at the that Waterside Workers Hall, and I think this one was during a heat wave in January, so I think it had been 40 something degrees for about 5 days straight, and then we get into the venue that night, and because you had all the lights in and all the crowd, and it's just it was like above 50 degrees, and it was god awful. Like 2 minutes into this match, just drenched in sweat and just I can't breathe. That was a struggle, that match.
Oof, ouch.
But yeah, good fun. Hey, another shirt. So that's
there we go.
This is based off the anime movie Akira. So that's the logo and the thing there. So if replace the ring with the motorbike, it's the famous poster, just with a slightly changed tagline there. So it's usually the movie one says Neo Tokyo is about to explode with the the crazy big capital letters and the dots and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Funnily enough, made this t-shirt in 2019, right before the pandemic, and right before the trend was to set up rings in empty venues, and
yeah.
So a bit of foreshadowing there.
Oh wow.
Funnily enough, that movie is actually set in the year 2020 as well, where the
oh really?
yeah there was a global pandemic and the Olympics were in Tokyo, so it was kind of weird, strange coincidences into the inspiration for that t-shirt that all happened in real life. So
oh shit, it's funny how that happens.
Prophetic. Hey, a nice promo shot there, charging up the Hadouken, the Kamehameha, whatever you will call it.
Nice.
My swished hair to the side there. Hey, there we go. That was my
there you go.
return back to New Zealand. So that's Ligas. That's the tag team we used to be in. He started off wearing the green as well as I did from the earlier slide. So that's what we kind of naturally became a tag team. So he's a guy that again his kind of was always big into his Japanese wrestling and stuff. So
yeah,
bigger dude. Loved the heavyweight stuff. So his number one guy was always Misawa. So
okay, yeah.
Always vibed with him on that. So we'd go in there and just do the. Again, we could have this match any day of the week, and we'd be in there. We'd just be belting each other, and within minutes. But we one of those guys that I just feel very very safe with. He'll throw me around, he'll belt me, but I'll never feel like I'm in danger.
Yeah.
There's footage from that Manamamoa show. We hits me with the cop killer, the vertebraker.
Okay.
Yeah. When it is again, it's like one of those moves that he wouldn't do often, but he was the guy that I'd be the guy that he'd give it to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he has one of the greatest just whoosh Saito overhead release suplexes that I every time I'm in a match with him, he'll give me one. I'm just like, there we go. Love it. Heathen. That was their debut show.
Oh, nice.
That was I don't think he's on the post. Oh, there he is. There in the front with the green hair, Horus.
Oh yes.
So he's gone to become a major player in New Zealand now. I think he's either the current champ or was the current champ. But yeah, he's really gone to do some cool things, and I got to fight him in a one-on-one match, and then do a four-way later on that night. So
yeah.
In Hamilton, which is a city a few hours south of Auckland.
Yeah.
Fun little night. Guy was running his first show just in this bar area, so it's just ring in the middle of a bar really, and then just
yeah, nice. No, why not?
Hey, taking Bellows mystery substance there, the juice I think is what he calls it.
Jeez.
That's a terrible shot. Took the juice, did the Hulk up, and then had the instant withdrawals all within the space of a couple of matches within the minute, couple of minutes within the match.
Oh wow!
And then tested positive for banned substances. So caught myself a suspension not long after.
Oh no!
But so did Bellows. And
that's good.
Hey, there we go.
Tag team champions.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just sort of fell into this tag team. I think we were. Again, I was doing my not being able to win a match run.
Yeah.
And had a match with Havoc sort of lined up, which was going to be at Lion Arts. And on the day as we just finished setting up for the venue, this was again middle of summer, heat wave all week. On the day, just as soon as we'd set up, torrential downpour for an hour or so, and the roof on Pfeil's Live caved in, and this water was just pouring in from the roof down onto all this lighting and sound equipment.
No.
So we had to get out of the venue. Show was cancelled. So we had this crazy cool fun match ready to go, and then that got postponed. And then in the time it sort of took for that to get back up and running again, because this was in and around pandemics. I think we were kind of in and out of lockdowns.
Yeah.
I think it was after the first one, but kind of as we're sort of going in and out of the follow-ups.
Yeah.
And it just kind of one thing led to another, and it's by the time we got this match done, it's we can work this, and all of a sudden we're just always being putting these matches together. It's let's tag together and see how that works. And a couple of years later, we've got this tag run, and it seems to be going off. We're having a lot of fun, and yeah, ends up with the tag title, which was a good fun year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to fight a lot of really cool people from across the country and here locally as well.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. As a team there.
Yeah, that's heading towards Rob and Amber becoming the tag team, and that was again another Lionhearts factory, as you can see there.
Yeah.
And that was another good fun little match. I think we'd all been crazy busy putting the show together and stuff, all our Villa Sorta guys. I think we only really got to talking about this match about half an hour before and just kind of slapped it together, had our little things we did, and it was good fun. I think we just lost the titles to were we champs then? No, I guess we weren't champs because we don't have the belts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was leading into Amber and I think we were still champs. I can't remember.
That's alright.
Around that time. Oh, and there's Lucas Fantasia, as I was saying before. Again, another Lionhearts. Look how good that video looks. Got the cool video things. Yeah, cool little work. I like him. I think he'll, if he sticks with it, go on to do some really cool things. Has a cool gimmick, cool presence.
Yeah.
The glitter he wears, unfortunately, will stick with you for the rest of the year. So as I found out with that gear, I think I'm still finding little bits and pieces of it, but all works for him. The big clothesline, getting in on Nick. He's taking his head off.
Jesus,
had that one perfect.
Blue hair.
Yeah, Nick's great. One of those guys. Just I think anyone could have a match with him and it would always end up well.
Yeah.
Just knows how to put a match together, and I think just kind of he knows his stuff so well that he can make it work with anyone.
Yeah.
That was a good match. I like that one. I think we were kind of just put in the middle of the card somewhere and told to make the most of it, and I think it'd be a match I'd love to do again one day and see what we can change and different things we can do. But
yeah.
And until then, I was happy with that one.
Yeah, nice.
Here I am with Leia. That's the kind of currently where we are. So yeah, hanging around me, annoying me, just taking up all my time. And I think my facial expression sums that one up. I would rather have nothing than all.
Yeah.
There we go, and that's the unofficial 20th anniversary match.
There it is. Nice.
James Shaw, who again he was that sort of second generation of New Zealand wrestlers after we all got off the ground running, and he's like a mainstay of New Zealand wrestling. He is, with the exception of lockdowns and things like that, he wrestles just about every weekend somewhere in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Has a ton of experience locally. He's an incredibly funny person. There's a great story, I think, when Juicy Gino Gambino went over to New Zealand for the first time.
Oh yeah.
He had a match with James Shaw lined up for IPW, I think. Anyway, as they first met, getting off the airport and stuff, James had convinced him that he suffers from narcolepsy, and he was just playing it off like we've got a match tomorrow, blah blah blah, and he's just talking about by the way I've got narcolepsy, so sometimes I'll just sort of zone out and maybe pass out for a little bit, and just don't panic, I'll get back up and you might just have to tell me what's going on and stuff, but I'll remember. So Gino was freaking out, he because he it's the things when James gets these ideas, he will go with them. So he had him going up until I think right before the match, and Gino was shitting himself this guy's gonna fall asleep during the match. No, just casually a little before. I was just bullshitting you, man. So he had him going for a long time, from what I gather. So, but yeah, he's very funny, very energetic. But he does also know his wrestling. He's when he sort of focuses in on his match, and he's gonna get his guys that kind of knows his character inside now. So he'll always work with you and bring out really good things and stuff. So if you ever get over to New Zealand, like it's a guy you want to wrestle. He's very fun, very good, very professional, knows what he's doing.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Conquest, yes. So I had Jimmy Townsend first round. That was good and fun, and then an absolute sprint with Wrecking Ball in the semi-final. Just 5 minutes of belting each other. I think these are cool. Like, yeah, again, you don't sort of see a lot of these in wrestling anymore. Sort of the big one night tournaments. Like, you get a lot of the weekend tournaments, or like the over sort of 2 or 3 shows sort of tournaments and things like that. But yeah, the one night tournaments are brutal but kind of awesome. Like I used to love old King of the Rings and stuff when they had like the full quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals all on one night, and then the obviously like the best of Super Juniors in Japan and stuff and things like that. Just really cool. Like I love these shows. You get this like the cool story dynamics of what each individual wrestler's kind of battling through their opponents to get to the final and all the different storylines and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, Conquest shows are fun, but you have to be prepared for them.
Definitely something different.
Edward Dusk, that was the start of this year. Really enjoyed that match with him as well, actually. Was coming off like a few weeks of inactivity as far as good. As far as training and things and stuff goes, so hadn't really had a lot of ring time right before that match. Had about a month off of training and things, and I was like, this guy's gonna go. Like, I'm gonna have to try and keep up with him and stuff. So it turned out to be like really enjoyable match.
Nice.
We were on the card and stuff, and again, it's another one of the guys like I was saying with Nick before, like I'd like to go back in there and run it back again and see what we can do different, so see what we can do and grow on.
Yeah.
I think we could under different circumstances do something different and challenge ourselves in different ways and things like that, and I think could get a good few matches out of each other. I think
absolutely. That's awesome. All right, I think that brings us to the end of the photos, Link.
All right.
Awesome. So thank you for going through them. I did the best I could to find as many old ones as I could, but I appreciate you going through them, going down memory lane, going through all that. You're just hitting your strides here in Adelaide, so it's going to be good to see what happens next.
20 more years, here we go.
Well, you never know. Hopefully you do, man, because I'm looking forward to watching you and seeing what happens next, especially with the Leah Lovegrove stories and stuff like that they're coming in. So, no, man, thank you for going through those photos.
Thank you.
Easy. All right, Link, I'd love you now to plug any social media, merch, events, anything you got coming up. Where can we find you?
Basically, anything I have would all be under Human Bullet Link. So I think the Twitter handle is or the X handle is Human Bullet Link. If you look up Human Bullet Link on Instagram, I'm admittedly kind of terrible at social media, but if you do just want to contact me there, then you can get a hold of me there, and every now and then I'll post up photos and things for shows coming up. Merch and shows, I think the next available for those will be at the Lion Arts Factory on the 24th. I really should have checked that for what we had at the time.
That's alright.
But yeah, check out Wrestle Rampage. That'll be all info will be up on their socials, and then I'll obviously be plugging the show and the matches when they're announced. But yeah, if I'm ever traveling interstate and abroad and overseas, back to New Zealand, whatever it may be, I will do my best to let people know on the appropriate channels. Yeah,
absolutely. So guys, all the links will be below. Make sure you get on there, following Wrestle Rampage, keep update with what's going on there. But I won't hold you up too much longer, Link. I appreciate you coming on here. Appreciate you going through those stories, man. It was great to hear about it. Hear about your times from the grassroots in New Zealand, all the way up to now here at Wrestle Rampage. So look forward to what you got in the future, man. But thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Easy. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Beers and Brawls. Another huge thank you to our guest, Link Barnett, for coming on. It was great to hear his stories. Another shout out to our sponsor, Shifty Lizard, for the episode. Make sure you get on the links below, guys. Follow Link, follow Wrestle Rampage. Keep up to date with all the local wrestling in Adelaide, in your city, in your country, wherever you are. But as always, give us a like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Until next time, cheers.